I'm Mahalia Bowles, and thanks for joining me here at Caution Girl with a Dream, where we speak to women that are excelling in their chosen field and shattering the glass ceilings that have tried to hold them back. I hope you feel inspired to take your dream, run with it, and give it all you've got. At the age of 23, Brittany Garbutt created Pretzel. You will have seen the pretty pink containers all around Perth for serving up delicious treats handmade by artisan pretzel bakers on site. And there are now multiple stores here in Perth as well as nationally in Victoria as well. And we get the chance to chat to her now about being a young local entrepreneur and her pink, delicious and inspiring story so far. Brittany, thank you so much for joining us.
No worries.
It's a pleasure. So please tell me first just a bit about your childhood growing up and then how you came to have this idea to start your own pretzel business.
So I'm an immigrant, first of all. So I'm from South Africa. So we were over there for a good bit of time and then shipped over to Australia. I have an older brother who's 2 years older than me. And so he's like quite South African still, and I was a baby, like maybe like 4 or 5 years old. So I'm quite Australian. So I think that was sort of interesting growing up with two nationalities in a household. And I was educated like an Australian, but had a very South African family. So, but super creative, and that's kind of like where those two worlds sort of met often. And so because I was super creative, my whole education and growing up, basically, I was, pushed into that kind of line of work and loved it very much so, yeah. And then I ended up going to Curtin University and I studied a double degree there, a Bachelor of Arts in Creative Advertising, Graphic Design, Photography and Illustration.
Wow, so many things.
Yeah, it's such a mouthful, and like it's 2 and 2, but I can't illustrate to save my life, so I'm not really sure how that ended up in my degree. But it's like a very all-encompassing creative experience. And when I left there, because I actually got a scholarship from Curtin to go in the first place, because I did really well in my design exams in high school. So again, very, very creative. And I sort of pursued that path. But as soon as I came to like popping out of uni, the dollars aren't so good for no. So I kind of assessed the situation. Was like, look, I'm not going to go and bust my ass for $35,000 here. So I sort of pursued photography, which was equal parts creative and also a bit better on the cash side. So I did that for maybe like 2-3 years, and I freelanced doing other graphic design work, and I worked for myself, and I found that I like really love working for myself.
Right.
But I have really bad ADHD. Like I have mad ADHD. So a big part of that is like constantly moving on from things when you haven't finished them
Kicking
yet.
the ball. Okay, yes.
Yeah, so you just get bored. You like throw your toys out of the cot, see you later, next thing, I'll move it on. And so Pretzel was kind of my like fix for that issue.
That's so interesting.
Yeah, I was like, look, hey, you can't leave this one, even if you want to, because I had invested about $100,000 into my first store.
Yeah, so tell me a bit about the action steps that went into starting your own business at such a young age.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's interesting because I was working at David Jones at the time as like I designed the windows and all the displays and stuff like that. But very corporate, very normal. Wasn't coping. Don't really cope with routine, which is silly. And so then I was like, oh no, I'm gonna just go and open a pretzel place because I used to work at a pretzel place when I was a kid. And I loved it. I was obsessed with it. And my friend Mallory, who I'm still friends with all the girls that I worked with.
Wow.
Mallory was obsessed with them. And it closed because the people who owned it were in their 60s and like they were beautiful people, but done with it. And so there was no pretzels for like 5 years. And I was going to sell pretzel to Mallory. So I figured I had the skills and the expertise to brand it and open it. And then I knew her dad was actually looking for something to purchase, like in that line of the world. And I was like, I'm a genius. I will make this thing and I will sell it on, make a tidy profit, see you later. And then basically Mallory fell in love with a boy from Canada, like a good 3 or 4 weeks into this happening. So Mal was off.
She was off.
I was just left with it. But then it became my baby. And I was like, nah, this is mine. Wouldn't give it away for the world.
So you bought your first shipping container. It was pink and neon. How did you come up with that idea?
I suppose like a lot of the time when I was doing my freelancing work, it's always about like what other people want to do, how they see the world, how they think things should be. It's not uncommon for clients to sort of be like, hey, I love this logo or brand or company. Essentially just asking you to copy it. And then when you bring them something that's actually genuinely super creative and interesting and like fun, they're like, that's amazing, but I wanted this. Yeah, exactly. So I found that kind of environment caused Pretzel. I was like, fuck, it's gonna be pink and it's gonna have neon signs all over it and they're gonna be kind of entitled. Like, I mean, currently it says, all I ever wanted was everything. So I just sort of went balls to the wall with it and I just had fun.
And give me space.
That was, and like, Give Me Space is my Whitford's one, which I sort of updated in line with COVID because I thought it was funny.
Yeah.
Because it's a space-themed store, but everyone needed to separate. And then I suppose we used to have It's All Good, like, on the window. And for someone who's a brander, like, the absolute lack of branding knowledge in the beginning of people of my company was crazy. Yeah. So, like, I didn't have money to put, like, a proper badge logo on because I sort of ran out of cash. So everyone just thought it was called It's All Good. And then I'd be like, no, but didn't have the time. Everything in the beginning was about time. I just didn't have time.
Yeah.
I was working
like, get it out.
And I was working like 19 hours a day. I was there from like open till close pretty much every single day for about a year.
And that was in Northbridge, your first one.
Yeah, and we opened really late hours there too. So I was like just busting my ass till the wee hours of the morning. But yeah, I didn't love it in the beginning. It would
have been hard.
Oh, it was really, really difficult actually.
What's been the response to Pretzel by people?
I love that they're so obsessed, but like we constantly get referred to in the media as a cult brand, which is like my favorite thing, like because I didn't do that. And
that just happened.
Exactly, and I get it because like all the pink and the blah blah blah.
Like me, I'm a fan.
Yes, no, but I feel like it started off with this like really like selfish pursuit of some quick cash, and then like turned into this like thing that has its own little life. And like my favorite part of Pretzel entirely now is like the staff and like my customers. And people always very like, oh, I love my customers, da, 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 da. But like I really like watching, and I love watching it. So like I used to, being in it is way more fun. Like if I could give up my job and just go work in my Pretzel stores, I'd do it in a heartbeat, but
someone's got to run it.
Unfortunately. But like they have so much fun together and they make so many cool, close relationships and like, kind of like mine with Mallory and like Liz and Jess, like people who I worked with. And like, I love to like put the balance together. We put like a few like naughty kids.
So you think with intention about who's going to work together in those
and like
shops.
How it's going to go for them and the little friendships that they're going to make and like, it's really cute. I love all that. And I love watching, like we've had people like get engaged at our stores. And
that would have been me.
Yeah, probably.
I have to like pass that on as an idea. I know.
And we have like, I used to watch like regulars like come all the time and they were from the TAFE like at Northbridge.
Oh really? Yeah.
And like you see them on like little first dates, but then also like just like making friends. And you can kind of like track them, be like, hey Soph, how you going today? And she's like, doing this. Like, that sort of like connection you rarely get in any other industry but hospo. So that's kind of like what I ended up loving. But
That's so meaningful, yeah.
yeah, it did. It got weirdly meaningful when I really was just trying to get in and out. I was.
And so, just a fun little question. What is it specifically that gives you such passion for, or you had such passion for the pretzel? Where did that come from?
Oh, the kid thing. Like working there as
Yeah.
a kid, they are the most phenomenal product. But it's very well known for being shitty because there are a lot of people out there who do it not well. And they like bake them very, very early prior.
Or they're very hard or something.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah. And so there's not a lot of like love and attention given to this particular product. But when done well, and like the woman I worked for, her name was Yardi, and she was obsessive, compulsive about it, like to the point where we thought she had a screw loose. But now my screws are far looser. It's like was an absolute angel looking back at it. But yeah, like just the care and love and attention that goes into this
Yes.
product. And when it's good, it's so good.
Nothing quite like it.
No.
Yeah.
But also that was the other thing, nothing quite like it. And it gave me an opportunity to like explore my passion, which is branding,
Yeah.
in a way that was like not dictated already.
Right.
Burgers
Yeah.
has an expectation. Pizza has an expectation. Chicken, da-da-da-da. There's always like an expectation of how it'll look, how it'll be presented, how it'll taste, the color it will be presented in, but not pretzels.
Yeah, so a lot of thought went into it. And so now, what does a day in your life look like now as the chief of the business?
Well, I basically, it depends. It really does. But I work a lot. But I wake up late. So I usually start working like 9 or 10. But I will wake up and roll out of my bed.
Yeah, and then
Yeah, and I'm lucky to have my office. I don't know. It's in the same building.
right.
Please don't come and stalk me. But so I just tumble out of my bed. I brush my teeth. That's just about it. And then
And then into it in your PJs.
normally, yeah, like whatever.
But that's probably what you wanted.
Look, I just think it's a waste of time otherwise. But yeah, and it's about 17 steps. So I get my little exercise and then I go to my my office, and then I've got a couple assistants, Nux and Harry, so if they're in, they'll come in and help me, or, it depends where they are, what they're doing for the day.
Yeah.
I smash through a bunch of emails. I'm
Yeah.
like a glorified dictator, like a, not dictator,
Oh,
delegator.
yeah.
Delegator,
Yeah.
but also a bit of a dictator. And then I siphon through different areas of the business. Maybe some days we're doing more accounting, I don't personally do the accounting, but oversee that. Yeah, and then sometimes we'll be doing policies, procedures, management, like the boring stuff. Sometimes we're doing really fun stuff, like the new creative campaigns or the new marketing campaigns or collaborations and stuff like that. But yeah, then I put out fires the rest of the time. I just fire spot put out.
Yeah. So what have you loved most about being your own boss and an entrepreneur? What's just the best bit about it?
Well, see, like this part of it is like consistently talked up because of the type of people that entrepreneurs are, right? So like people in my position don't generally like to admit any kind of like weakness. So it's always like, being an entrepreneur is the best thing ever. Being your own boss is the best thing ever. Da 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 da. We're not likely to sell you on the negatives, right? So
Perhaps a better question is, what's a plus and a minus of it?
yeah. So like when people are like, what's the best part? I'm always really like sensitive to that spread of information.
Right.
Like what we do is just super freaking easy and breezy and beautiful, and I mean like a Lamborghini.
Yeah.
Because that is what we, as a set of people, purport. Like we do tend to push that narrative, but it's not true.
Tell us the truth.
The truth, it really is that it kind of it's like the best part is that when you are having a shit time, which is often, you did it to you. So like it doesn't
No one to
sound,
blame.
yeah, it doesn't sound like a positive, but it really is. So like, if you're having a bad day or, working at 3 a.m. or whatever it is, it's like very satisfying to know, like, I did that to me. I did that to me. No one's asking me to do this. No one forced me to do it. I don't owe my time to anyone, but I'm choosing to suffer. So, like, even though it sounds, not mean, but like, duh, oh, woe is me. That's the best part, is that if you are not having a good day, you are the reason for your bad day. And there's some sort of weird happiness in there.
You cleared it up for us. So thank you for doing that. That's very good. And so following on for that, for young people or anyone really who's, wanting to be their own boss, what's your advice?
My advice is to really assess whether or not you need to own it. And there are many ways to be involved in business and love business, but not own it. Owning it is a whole new level of stress, anxiety, just responsibility that it's unnecessary for some. And I've known very, very many brilliant people who are I want to own my own business, and there was oh, what advice would you give me? And I'm always if you've thought about your office or your schedule or the benefits before you have worried about what you're going to have to sacrifice,
And the amount of work.
you're out. You're in the wrong industry. But that does not mean that you cannot be close to it. There are brilliant CFOs. There are brilliant marketing managers. There are brilliant people who do branding and operations and product design and development. There's so many ways to pretend to be a owner and have all of the fun of it and just get to go home when you need to.
That's really good advice.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
No worries.
Yeah, I like that because it's, as you say, it's not just this glamorous concept.
No.
You've got to be realistic about the work that it involves.
Yeah, and there's a lot of social media sort of activity, and I don't know, we are very often, we're put in these situations, and we're put on pedestals constantly, and it's always that it is this super awesome, achievable, not even that's not achievable, but that it's desirable.
And it costs but it costs.
It does. It comes with a big fat personal paycheck, and if you're not willing, I missed 21st, I missed birthdays, I missed all kinds of things. I miss sleeping at 2 a.m. There is a lot of sacrifice, but I'm happy to do it because I have a very particular type of personality that is suited to that sort of suffering. But no, and I love it, I do, but I also just think that there is generally a trend towards needing to love your job. But then having a misunderstanding of what loving your job means. And if you were
Wisdom.
Yeah, people think that loving their job means never hating it. They're not the same
not realistic.
thing.
Yeah,
it's not the same thing. So if you hate it 99.9% of the time, but you truly love it, keep
You're
going.
set.
You're
Do
doing
that.
it. Yeah, but it's work. It's just read the definition. It's not really supposed to be all that fun, you know what I mean? And there is also just trendingly always this push towards everything should be easy, and anything worth doing should come naturally, and that's not also the case either. And I try and advise people to put themselves in uncomfortable situations. If you're uncomfortable, that's now you're getting there. Now we're onto it. Now you're an entrepreneur. We don't spend every moment of our day super comfortable. That's not.
There you go. Yeah.
Where we thrive. And if
that's
you
not
thrive
where the growth comes.
Yeah, and if you thrive and comfortable, get close to it. Marketing, CFOs, CMOs. There's a whole bunch of other options where you don't have to physically be the one
Right. Yes.
owning it.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah,
Wow,
I would like
that's such
someone
wisdom.
to just bash down the job a little, to give us a little more.
Just a bit more on the ground. Just feet on the ground.
And just a little bit more of a gap. You know, I want people to be oh, poor you. You must have spent all day stressed out, but they're oh wow, it must be so great. And I'm
You're
a little sympathy.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for being here.
worries,
It's
no
been
worries
so
at all.
fun. I wanted to end off with some fun rapid fire questions
Go for
you, just quickly. So the first one is, so you just off the top of your head, first one, favourite cocktail?
Oh, I love one. It's called a lychee martini.
Oh, yum.
Yeah.
2, favourite dessert?
It's actually a cinnamon glazed pretzel, but that sounds really
Well, I was going to say, is that your favourite pretzel?
Yeah. But I love a cheesecake.
Oh, yes.
Yeah,
Also,
yeah.
yum. Okay.
Oh no, it's panna cotta. It's panna cotta.
Okay,
Yeah,
final answer, panna cotta. Okay, 3, summer or winter?
Winter, only because of medical reasons. I can't.
Practical. What was your best subject at school? We answered this.
Art. Yeah, art and design.
What is some advice you would give your younger self?
Oh. Brush your hair. Actually.
Just brush your hair more?
Yeah, just get on top of that. If I could have established that routine earlier.
You were doing your teeth, but not your hair.
Yeah, no, because teeth are important. My hair is not practical, but it is. Like, you should brush your hair.
Okay, good.
This is the most random.
I know, you're welcome. 6, your favourite hobby aside from...
Oh, I love skateboarding.
Oh, do you skate?
Well, I longboard technically, and I say skate because it's a bit confusing, but I have to have the big one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that.
That's so fun, so
Yeah.
impressive. 7, if you could live anywhere else in the world, where would it be?
Oh, Tokyo.
Love it.
Goddamn, obsessed with the place.
Oh,
I have
yeah.
a store designed all over it. Like Doncaster in Victoria is designed around Tokyo.
I've got to go visit.
Yeah, it's super cool. I love them.
Okay, sunrise or sunset?
Set.
Sunset.
Oh, good God, no sunrises for me.
Oh,
I
good
hate
point,
it.
yeah. What's your favourite TV series right now? Are you watching anything? Got any time for it?
Oh, I'm a big fan of every Real Housewife of Anywhere.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice.
Oh, obsess over reality TV. It's
Yeah.
just like very calming for me.
Yeah, it would be good, just relax the
Yeah.
brain. Yeah. Okay, and final one, dream holiday destination.
At the moment, I really want to go to Cuba
Okay.
because they are currently stuck in the 80s and America's just got their little paws on it. So the more interaction America has with it, the less stuck in the 80s it's going to be, or the 60s, or whatever it is. So I want to get there quick.
Oh, yes.
Yeah,
That sounds
so that's
great.
like my dream at the moment is to get to Cuba. They also
I hope
don't
you get there.
They don't have cell phones and they don't really have internet access, and that just sounds like a good time for a person like me.
I hope you get there very soon.
Me too.
Thank you so much for joining us here today, Brittany. Brittany Garbutt, founder of Pretzel.
Thank you so much for having me.
It's been so fun. That's all for Caution Girl with a Dream. Thank you so much for joining me here. Go out there, push some boundaries, pursue those dreams. Remember to think with intention, and I'll see you next time.